Hey, another day in a proverb. Rob, you are here, youth pastor here at Victory Church, or this youth group we go by VC Teens, as you know, being on the YouTube channel. I hope that this series so far, I know this is the third weekend, so third day in a proverb. I really hope that it's an encouragement to you, that it has been and it can be. If you've stumbled across these, or if you're looking up VC Teens, if you're looking up anything by us, I just really hope it encourages you. Now, you can also find more sermons and other things on our Instagram page, VC Teens, or if you want to go to discovervictory.com, you can find the church's website there and find more of the sermons of the main service. But with that said, again, like I've said before, this is not to be a replacement for a Sunday service or for a Wednesday night group or anything like that. It's to just be extra encouragement. It's not even supposed to take away from your own personal time with God's Word, but it's to be something that can encourage you, uplift you, and I hope that it does. But today, we're going to be jumping into Proverbs chapter 3. And I just want us to focus in on the first 4 verses here. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace they shall add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. It's crazy how you can jump into Proverbs and you know that Proverbs are good sayings, that there's going to be wisdom, but it's crazy what is actually in here. Looking at these first 4 verses, don't forget my law. Keep my commandments in your heart. And this is to say that we should keep God's commandments in our hearts, not to forget his law. And in verse 2, it gives us something to really think about. For length of days and long life and peace they shall add to thee. So you should have long days, long life, and peace. It's not necessarily like a direct promise to us, because this is wisdom literature, not necessarily a legal document. But guys, look at this. Just understand that thought, though, that God gives us. Says, hey, don't forget my commandments. Keep them in your heart, and you will have long days. You will have long life, and you'll have peace in your life. That's amazing that we can have that God says that in here in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 2, that we can know that this is something that God says, hey, if you keep my commandments, if you put them in your heart, this is something to look forward to, look towards, not something to just wish about or hope for, but to look for. And in verse 3, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So he's saying, don't let mercy and truth fall away. Don't walk away from mercy and truth and say, you know what, I don't need that. Take that and to bind them up around your neck, to give them a special place near your heart, to even write them upon thine heart. So we need to not let mercy and truth be something that we know of or we interact with and just kind of then, have lose it. Like you're in school and you learn that mathematical equation that you've been trying to understand and work on for a whole year, and now all of a sudden you've got it. You know how to do it, and then the summer hits and you got a good grade on it, and then the summer comes and you don't have to practice it. And you're like, well, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. I know how to do that. It's fine. I've got that. I know that truth, that 2 plus 2 equals 8. Or, 2 plus 2 equals 4. But you know that truth. And then just like what I just did, you get to September when you come back to school and you mess up the mathematical equation. It's like you knew the truth was there, and it just kind of slipped, like it ran off on you. You don't have it anymore. Like for some reason you like unlearned something that you learned. It's annoying. It can be so annoying, and that's something that can happen in all of our lives, not just with math or with poetry or another language, but that's something that can happen with a lot of things, if not all things in our lives. If we're not keeping track of them, if we're not working on them and bringing them close to our heart and saying this is important, they tend to just kind of lose their way. You lose a thought on it and you forget about it. But to write upon your heart. And it isn't like God is saying, okay, keep my commandments, you'll have a long life and you'll have peace. But then also he says, don't lose mercy and truth, and thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. So you're not even doing this to say, oh yeah, God will like me more if I follow his truth and I keep his commandments. God will like me more. But you will find favor and good understanding not only with God, but with man, which is insane, right? Because like not every man or woman or child likes God. Like there are people out there that really don't like God or hate God or just don't care about God. But this is saying if you follow God's commandment and you put mercy and truth as important things in your life and you keep God's commandments and his law in your heart, that you'll find favor and good understanding with not only God, which is the most important thing, to find favor with God, but that you will also find it with man. Guys, we know that we should be doing this, and to do it, to find favor and good understanding with just God alone is more than worth it. But to know that it also finds favor and good understanding with man is crazy insane, because how else are we supposed to get that? By doing something stupid that makes them laugh, or by hurting someone else, or how? There's so many different ways to find favor and good understanding with man that might not be good ways, but this is definitely a great way, because you get both God and man. Talk about killing two stones, or two birds, one stone. That's the one. Talk about that though. Two birds, one stone. You find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. I want us to think about this and really work on this as we look through chapter 3, and we're just in the first part of chapter 3. I really want us to understand what it means to apply this, to really put God's commands onto our heart, to really take that mercy and truth and to apply it and to write it on our hearts. It means that we need to give it such importance that it is in our very being.